The movie starts with a rugby game. Jake Tyler, the main character, shows off his skills and impresses everyone. Everything is going well until an opponent starts teasing him. The opponent says Jake couldn't even take care of his father, so how could he handle the game? This upsets Jake a lot. He reacts by attacking the opponent, leading to a fight between the teams. After the game, in the locker room, one of Jake's friends asks if he'll hang out later, but Jake says no because his family is moving to another city. Jake, his mom Margaret, and his younger brother Charlie are moving from Iowa to Orlando, Florida. The move is mainly for Charlie's tennis dreams. Jake is busy packing and getting ready. His mom has high hopes for him because he's the only adult male in the family. Whenever he gets into fights, his mom scolds him because she doesn't like that behavior. The next day, while packing, Charlie accidentally drops a suitcase with their father's shirts. This makes Jake remember good times with his father. He feels a mix of anger towards himself and his dad. We learn that Jake's father died in a car accident. His father was drunk and insisted on driving, even though Jake offered to drive. Jake blames himself for his father's death, thinking that if he had driven, his father might still be alive. Classmates also insult Jake about his father's death. Jake scribbles on his father's box out of frustration. In Florida, Jake's first day at school starts. He sees a student named Max being beaten by others. Jake feels guilty for not helping at first, but then steps in to rescue Max. However, Max and his friends reject his help, showing that the bullying was actually a mixed martial arts fight. In class, there's a girl named Baha. The teacher asks her a question, but she can't answer. Jake helps by answering instead. After school, Baha talks to him, curious if he's new. They start talking and getting to know each other. Baha is lively and attractive, and Jake is interested in her. Later, when Jake gets home, his mom asks about school, and he says it's fine. The next day, Max, the boy Jake helped, approaches him, and they quickly become friends. Max tells Jake about one of his videos going viral, making him popular. Jake is surprised to hear this. It turns out the fight he had during the rugby game was recorded and spread widely. Now, Jake is known as the new tough guy at school, impressing everyone. However, Jake wants to keep a low profile because his mom disapproves of him getting into fights. On his way home, Jake meets Baha again, who invites him to a party. Jake agrees and goes to the party at Ryan's house. Ryan is a popular boy at school and the MMA champion, and he's also Baha's boyfriend. Despite Ryan's status, he welcomes Jake. But during the party, Ryan challenges Jake to a fight to keep his reputation as the champion, especially since Jake is gaining attention from the viral video. The people at the party are excited to see the fight between Jake and Ryan. At first, Jake doesn't want to fight, but the crowd pressures him, and Ryan insults him about his father. Jake reluctantly agrees to the fight. Even though he doesn't like fighting anymore, Jake is not as good as Ryan, who trains regularly. Ryan wins and beats Jake badly, making him look weak. The whole fight is recorded and spreads around the school, making Jake feel embarrassed. When Jake gets home with injuries, Charlie notices, and Jake tries to hide it from their mom. But Charlie wisely says that their mom will notice anyway. Jake is so upset that he stays away from school for the whole next week. During his absence, Max visits Jake at home and suggests he should start fighting again. Max offers to introduce him to a good coach, John Roqua, who is an expert in MMA. Jake is interested and decides to try it. Max introduces him to Roqua, and after some physical tests, Jake becomes Roqua's student. Roqua warns Jake not to get into fights outside the gym, or he will be dismissed. Jake starts training with Roqua, but his anger about the fight with Ryan is a problem. While Jake is still avoiding school, Baha visits him in the evening to check on him. She tries to apologize for her role in the fight with Ryan, but Jake doesn't forgive her. The next day, when Jake returns from training, his mother asks him about a withdrawal from the bank. Jake explains that he used the money to join an MMA club and pay the registration fee. His mother gets upset and says she doesn't want him to be a fighter. Jake ignores her concerns and continues training with Roqua, who is a former top fighter and seems sad and lonely, burdened by inner struggles. Jake eventually goes back to school but avoids Baha, who keeps trying to apologize. He doesn't forgive her for her role in the fight with Ryan. When Ryan shows no remorse and is mean to Baha, Jake steps in to protect her. Ryan insults Jake about his father again before leaving. Roqua tells Jake to leave the gym until he calms down. On the way back from the gym with Max, something unexpected happens. Max stops the car, leading to a road rage incident with some men. Jake fights them and wins easily. Max records the whole thing, and it goes viral. This makes Jake popular at school again because of his new aggressive behavior. One day, Baja confronts Jake, teasing him for ignoring her since she broke up with Ryan. Ryan, unhappy with Jake's growing popularity at school, doesn't like sharing the spotlight. Determined to act, Ryan traps Jake in the bathroom and beats him badly before challenging him to join the underground fighting tournament called the Beatdown, where Ryan is the current champion. Jake asks Max about the Beatdown, and Max explains the event and its rules. The Beatdown attracts skilled fighters, and matches only end when one opponent is knocked out. Jake's coach finds out that Jake has been fighting on the streets, breaking the gym's main rule. Angry at Jake's actions, Roqua kicks him out of the gym, saying rules can't be broken. Later that evening, Jake runs into Roqua at the market. They talk about Jake's father. Jake tells Roqua about his father's death in a drunk driving accident and how people always make him feel bad for not being able to save him. He also mentions being attacked by Ryan twice at the party. Roqua feels for Jake and decides to let him back into the gym, promising to train him harder. While jogging one day, Roqua shares his family history with Jake. He explains that his family has a long legacy in fighting, with his brother being a top MMA fighter and their father's favorite. Roqua reveals he is from Brazil and lives in self-imposed exile. He tells Jake how his brother beat a local troublemaker who later came back with a gun and killed him. Roqua's father blamed Roqua for not protecting his brother, causing Roqua to feel deep guilt and shame. He wants to return home but feels too ashamed and unsure of how to face his father. The next day, Jake's mother visits the gym and pays his fees for the next 2 months, showing her support for his fighting. Roqua praises Jake's progress, making his mother happy. Jake also apologizes to Baja for ignoring her, and they start a relationship. Max gets a notification about the upcoming Beatdown and tells Jake about it. Meanwhile, Ryan intensifies his training for the Beatdown. When Ryan's father visits him, he warns Ryan not to be too proud and reminds him that he hasn't beaten the top fighter, referring to Jake. Eventually, Jake starts to feel unsure about participating in the Beatdown, seeing it as part of Ryan's ambitions. However, Jake's view changes when Ryan attacks Max and leaves him injured at Jake's doorstep. After making sure Max is safe at the hospital, Jake asks his coach for advice. At first, they disagree about Jake joining the Beatdown, but finally, his coach gives in and tells Jake to stay in control. During the tournament, both Jake and Ryan win their matches and move through each round. Even though Jake gets hurt in a fight, he reaches the semifinals. Baja comes to support him and understands why Jake needs to fight to stop future problems. When Jake finds out that Ryan was disqualified in his semifinal for breaking the rules, he decides to withdraw because he sees no reason to continue. But as Jake and Baja try to leave, Ryan stops them and challenges Jake to a fight in the parking lot. Despite his injury, Jake uses techniques taught by his coach and defeats Ryan. In the end, Jake gains the respect of his peers, including Ryan. His coach decides to go back to Brazil to make peace with his father. So the moral of the story is, if life hits you hard, just hit back harder, preferably in an underground fight tournament, and always make sure someone's recording it.